Good evening, everyone. Welcome to FGM eCars for your Wednesday evening. We're back with the ANZCAR Xfinity Thunder Series here on FGM eCast. And we missed out on round one. Round one was one heck of an affair. If the interwebs is correct, it showed a finishing with three cars less than 100th away from one another at the conclusion of that race. I'm joined tonight by Carl Withy. Carl, actually involved in that race.
Yes, I was, Stuart, and less we speaking about that, the better, I think, for everybody's sake. Bit of a caution towards the end when I was running in P5, and the back end stepped out on me a little bit, and that brought out the second to final caution, unfortunately, with about 10 laps to go. So, yes, sorry about that, folks. But we saw Dave Douglas taking the victory, technically, although Thomas Martin crossed the line first, newcomer to the series. He managed to get the win, but he did it advancing under the yellow line, and you can't do that at Daytona. So he got a little slap on the wrist, a 5-point penalty drop, and he got declared as P2 technically. Although we say it's a race win as well. With Dave and Thomas both won that race. It was a fantastic finish. Matty Raymond was side by side with Dave Douglas as well. Those three cars were separated by nothing at all. So the championship as we go in is actually not the finishing order. Surprising, as strange as that sounds, it's Dave Douglas in first with Matty Raymond in second. Luke Georgeson, another newcomer to the series, in third. Norman Clark in fourth place, joint with Thomas Martin, and Scott Griffiths in fifth, with joint place with Lachlan Creo, Stevie Williams in eighth, ninth Aiden Schultz, and JCW in 10th at the moment, tied with Josh Micklemore. But that will all change, of course, as the season goes on. Just one race gone, but a few penalty points, a few bonus points from leading laps have changed that championship a little bit at the front.
Of course, we're here tonight at Darlington, and we've got 120 laps coming up. The big thing that I'm noticing here is I expected there'd be more drivers here ahead of the run-in, or the chase starting tomorrow night at exactly this location, and not quite seeing that.
No, a few drivers, I think, deciding to take a bit of a rest night tonight and not push it too hard, because this place can be absolutely punishing, and it's a very different track to drive in the Xfinity car, the car we use in Thunder, of course, and the Cup car, the car that is driven in the Cup Series. They really are different. The Xfinity car is a little bit tighter. It's a little bit easier to drive, you've got to say. It's sort of easier to work with sometimes around Darlington, whereas the Cup car can just be a little bit tricky to actually get working here. And I think a lot of drivers don't want to have that cross-platform. They want to keep practicing in that Cup car just so they are ready for it, because they are such different animals to drive. They're just looking to sort of keep the cars separated for a change.
And I guess a number of those drivers, if not all of the drivers, would have experience at this racetrack. So the likelihood of them needing it for a familiarity session is certainly less likely, given where a number of those drivers are at. Having said that, Mitch Motorsports still strongly represented here tonight. Atari involved as well. Those teams involved in the Cup, of course, tomorrow night as well, which I'm really looking forward to getting on. We haven't quite got that second screen set up yet for ANZCAR, but we will have it up and running for tomorrow night for the Cup. So looking forward to getting that one on. We can't make it all about the Cup tonight. We've got the Thunder Series back, and we saw, we mentioned at the top there, just some very, very close racing last week. So looking forward to more of that this week as we head. We've got 3 minutes to go here. We head into qualifying. Lachlan Creo, man on screen at the moment, fastest during practice, and he's got JCW had a win as well during last week in another series. But I think that was in the Saturday Weekend Warriors. He got up for the win.
I'm pretty sure it was on Saturday for Weekend Warriors for JCW. Great result for him. He's been having a little bit of a quiet season for JCW. If you know JCW, there's not much quiet about that man, but he hasn't been his usual self up there fighting it out up the top. But I'm pretty sure we'll see that change a little bit. The aggression might start to come up a little bit. Especially in the Xfinity Series. Watch him try and actually get some good results here. He's going to want to get a strong finish to his season. And, of course, he has made it into the chase in the Cup, so he's going to want to try and try and get some good results in that too. Few cars rocking the older liveries tonight, which is great. Of course, Darlington is one of the crown jewel events of NASCAR for the Cup Series in Xfinity. It is the support feature, we'll say, but a few drivers deciding to put on a few special liveries tonight just to celebrate that, of course, a tradition of the circuit. This track is one of the trickier tracks to drive as well. It's going to be tricky if it's going to be a surprise, I should say, if we don't see a caution tonight.
Yeah, looking at the format of the track, not knowing ignorantly in the company that I'm in, not knowing much about the history of this track, other than that it was used in Days of Thunder. That's about as far as my knowledge goes. So I was just having a look at the track layout during the early part of practice, and yeah, it looks like it's going to be a good race here. We've got 25 cars on the grid as well, so the pack not probably a good size actually, given the nature of the track.
Yeah, that's actually sort of ideal for this size track. 25 cars is not a bad number to have at the moment. Darlington, of course, the lady in black, as she is known, and you'd never ask a lady her age, but she is looking good for 70-odd years old, and it is a track with much history to it. It's a very different track as well. It's a bit of an egg-shaped track, and this throws you out when you're driving it because it has it's a relatively smaller track. It's only 2.2 kilometers long, I think, off the top of my head, but it's one of the smaller tracks, but it still has a bit of length to it. But it has the odd features of a more banked corner for the first turn, and then a more flat-out corner for the rear turn. So it is one of those tracks that is very tough to get used to, and it is one of those tracks that many drivers want to win at as well. It's a big favourite of the NASCAR driver scene.
We're just having a look at Ed Foster here in the 53 Natari Autosports AJ Insurance sponsored entry, and he equally will be participating tomorrow night in the chase, but rocking up here, and that'll conclude our practice. We'll head into solo qualifying, but he'll be looking to potentially add another trophy to the cabinet, the Natari Autosport cabinet, through this series this season. So while we're on the man, let's jump on board with him when he jumps out on track, and let's have a look at the way things are going to pan out at this circuit. I'm just waiting to jump on board with him. There we go. On the roof here of Edward Foster, and Carl, talk us around a lap around this famous track.
Yeah, look, Darlington is a favourite of Foster's as well, so this is a place he wants to do well at. One thing tonight that's going to be troublesome is the temperature. Track temperature is 44 degrees Celsius. It's going to be a warm one tonight, and those tyres are going to start crying out. So coming into the final corner here, we're going to come onto the start-finish straight now. Get your foot on the floor, get the power down, get across the line to start your lap. Coming into the first two corners, 25 degrees of banking for this first corner, very high banking section. Foster's back end steps out, he manages to save it, but that's going to hurt him for this lap. Probably see him actually jump out of this one and restart, jump back to the pits, and just basically start afresh after that incident.
Well, we'll jump on board instead then. We'll have a jump across to Tristan Koch instead in the 550 entry. So he gets started on his first flying lap in a corner or so.
Yep, so the big thing about that first corner is it's a very wide corner, but there is only a very small racing line, and you'll see this as we come in. So the banking is very high, but it's at the top of the corner. You can see at the bottom of the corner there is lots of room there, but where you're racing is generally just on this tiny bit of black here, and that's why we call it the Lady in Black. This track is way too tough to tame. Onto the back straight now, getting up to speed to 275, 280 kilometers per hour into the final set of corners. These are much wider than the first couple of corners, but they are very tricky to take as they only have around about, they have a much less banking to them. So they're about 4 or 5 degrees shallower than the first set of corners, so they really can catch you out. So Koch is taking a good run there. Might be faster on his second lap, we'll see how it goes. But usually first lap pace is king here on a track like this because the tyres do drop off a little bit. But you'll see what we mean. This back corner, it's a much wider corner. It almost feels like you can go much faster in it. but it is just such a tricky one, and the exit comes up on you. Look at how close Tristan gets to the wall there. It is one of those tracks that will catch you out quickly and will punish mistakes. Tristan Cock getting across the line there into 15th position. So one of the newer drivers there with my name's
Luke Johnson. Yeah, Luke Johnson.
There we go. There we go. My brain completely, absolutely failed there for a second. Luke had a really good run last time out at Daytona, managing to finish inside the top 5. So great result for him on his debut. New to the series, new to ANZCAR as well, and putting in a good performance as well in that race. He qualifies up in 11th with that time, so not a bad time for him. Mid-pack, that's not a bad place to be. Generally, you probably want to either start at the front or at the back here just to avoid accidents.
Jumping on board now with Danny G, 24 Mitch Motorsport entry as he just gets up into the wall there. So that's not going to be the start that he wanted for that flying lap. We'll just stick with him for the minute. See how he gets on through his lap. Of course, the Mitch Motorsport boys getting all of their drivers into the chase, so they'll be happy with that one. So this is a little bit of a practice run for Danny G in his custom orange, as we're used to seeing for him.
Yeah, it's good to see him back in the orange. He flew on an old paint job the other night just to confuse me. So thanks for that, Danny. Oh, up into the wall once more. The commentary eyes cursing that lap. Danny G catching the wall a couple of times. Both his qualifying laps are ruined. That means he is going to be starting right towards the back end of the grid. I think we're going to see people like Matty Raymond stay in the pit lane, not worry about qualifying. Maybe Lachlan Urquio is thinking, I'm going to start towards the back tonight. I'm not going to worry about starting up front. Despite having that speed in practice, it seems he's decided he's going to start a little bit further back for qualifying.
Yeah, not a bad move given what you've described that we may expect to see at this track. So we've got a couple of seconds hang over here. So just to give you the usual, we've got 12 rounds here. We're into round 2 already. We've got 120 laps tonight. We're heading to Richmond, Bristol, Las Vegas, Talladega. We've got Charlotte, Roval, Homestead, Texas, Kansas, Martinsville, and we're going to round out on the November the 3rd at Phoenix. So 2 drop rounds, and that is that for our Xfinity Thunder Series that gets underway for round 2 here tonight. Let's have a quick look at the grid. Bring that up on screen for you there. Not entirely sure what's going on with the overlay, but we'll just run with it tonight. It's got some unusual colours happening, but that does not matter. Let's have a look at the grid. It is Joshua Carroll Walden off pole position with Josh Micklemore next to him. Then row 2 is Hamish Gallagher with Edward Foster. We've got Brenton West, Damon Stockton off row 3 with Steve Williams and Ruben Phelps off row 4. Then it's Kate Donnelly and Aidan Schultz off 5 with Luke Georgeson and Troy Davison off row 6. As we flip over here, it's Thomas Martin and Matty Hunter, followed by Dwayne Priest and Peter Wilkinson. Then it is Christopher Finlay and Tristan Cock, followed by Norman Clark and Kurt Ingwison. And then we've got Scotty Griffiths with Danny G, Matty Raymond, Gary Wellman, and it is going to be Lachlan Urquio rounding out our field. So that is what it looks like here as we go to get this one underway. Obviously, we will get our typical pace lap before the truck pulls in. Back to the car tonight just to catch me out, but as the car pulls in, and then we'll get underway. And a couple of teammates at the front. It is Natari Autosports and it is Mitch Motorsport combined in a sandwich off those front 2 rows, Carl.
Yeah, look, lots of team play up the front. Expect to see that one playing out a little bit. It's going to be interesting to see how this one plays because the race could be decided by caution, of course. But if there's no cautions tonight, it's going to be a very interesting race strategy-wise. I reckon that the 2-stop strategy is going to be the quicker option. So we might see a few people try that 2-stop strategy if we get a long green period at the start. And if it pays off for them, it could pay off strong.
Well, only time will tell. caution-free race would be certainly something that we wouldn't expect to see. With a Diet Coke livery there of Hamish Gallagher. That's a good one. I wonder if Tay drinks Diet Coke. See, she's made an appearance there on the car, so obviously she does. But yeah, it's going to be difficult to see that we're going to get away here without a caution period. But we're about to find out. We're about to go green. We're about to go racing here in round 2 of the Thunder Series in the Xfinity cars. Carol Walden just holding. When's he going to go? Flag goes, oh, he gets a little bit of wheel spin there off the start.
Lots of wheel spin down the back of the grid as well. Quite a few guys getting caught out. I think Tristan Koch might have been one of those cars that got caught out in that. No, it was Matty Hunter, sorry. Matty Hunter gets really caught out with the wheel spin in the mid-pack, and that's broken up the pack a little bit and given the chance for, it looks like, Georgeson just to get a little bit of a jump up the grid a little bit. So that really did shake things up towards the back of the pack.
Joshua Carroll Walden there just having a little blip of the screen, a little bit of a drop out, but it's come back on there for him. And it is Carroll Walden from Gallagher. His team is teammate Edward Foster is in 3rd with Josh Micklemore in 4th at the moment. So a little bit of a shuffle there, but the top 4 remain the same. And then it's status quo. Brenton West in 5th, Stockton in 6th, with Williams 7th, Phelps 8th, Kate Donnelly in 9th, and Aidan Schultz rounding out the top 10 as we get through the first of the 120 laps this evening.
And already JCW just breaking out a little bit. He's managed to get himself a nice bit of a gap over Hamish Gallagher there in 2nd place, of course, defending champion of the Xfinity Thunder Series. So Hamish Gallagher's going to want to have a good result tonight after getting taken out at Daytona and costing him sort of a good start to his championship position. Unfortunately, the Mitch cars all got involved in incidents last time out, so they are going to be wanting to get this season underway and actually get some good results tonight. Bit of a move going on a little bit further back as Aidan Schultz is putting some pressure on Kate Donnelly at the moment. Those two really fighting it out at this time point. Going quite aggressive this early on. Donnelly just closing the door and saying, look, I'm going to have to work hard to get past here. It is a track that is tricky to pass on sometimes.
Yeah, we're going to see plenty of it, and fantastic looking liveries once again, just to mention them, of Aidan Schultz and Ruben Phelps. They a lot of work went into them. They're cracking looking cars, and they had their first double podium for that team as well during the week, so they're pretty pumped to keep pushing forward.
Yeah, really good result for the team there, and great to see for the Aussie esports team to get that double podium. Nice to see them working together well, and those cars look fantastic as well, so we always like a good paint job, and when they do well, it's even better. Brenton West just tagging the wall slightly a little bit further up the field, just in front of Devin Stockton. He's going to have Stockton all over the back of him at the moment. Peter Wilkinson there just getting up into the wall in the 268 as well. Wilco making his first appearance on stream as well in the Locked On iRacing car. Of course, Locked On iRacing, your place for the Australian iRacing action. Great bunch of lads on that community, very informative and useful. But he's starting up his career in oval racing and starting to get used. And Darlington is a track that is very hard to get used to, as we see Kurt Engelman just behind, getting very loose, banging into the wall. He manages to save it there. Ingleson just managing to get that one saved, but that car is going to be going into pit lane, I imagine. Yeah,
a fair bit of damage there for Ingwerson, so he will have to duck into pit lane and get that repaired. But at the front, still the status quo, although the gap has opened up somewhat to Josh Micklemore from Edward Foster. However, this is something that we have seen in the past. Doesn't necessarily mean a lot. We're going to probably see Josh close back up onto the back of this pack, as he often does, just managing probably tyres and a little bit of the race.
Yeah, look, watch Hamish Gallagher get back up towards JCW later in this stint. You got Foster and Gallagher they're setting decent pace at the moment, but Josh Micklemore as well, he's just eased it off. He's just watching what's going on in front of him. He's not putting up too much of a fight, and he's just not really worried about behind him as well. So he's just keeping it relaxed and waiting to make a move and waiting to actually pounce on those guys in front of him. Meanwhile, unfortunately, Brenton West is having a little bit of connectivity issue. Hopefully that will sort itself out. We've seen some really good results from West through the past couple of weeks in the Xfinity Series. Definitely one of those drivers that is making a mark in the series. But the old connectivity gods, they can be very fickle sometimes.
Not sure there's going to be too many right-hand side panels in pristine condition after this one. Just noticing a couple of drivers just giving the wall a little bit of a tap on the way around as well. They're running very, very high here, characteristic of the track, Carl, I understand.
Yeah, it is a track that you run high at, of course, and that does lead to the odd panel getting scratched and the odd little bit of damage to the car. Car that is looking relatively clean, though, and is working its way through the field relatively quickly is Matty Ray. He's up to 6 positions at the moment. Mr. Clean, Mr. Sheen is keeping it as clean as possible. He just got past Georgeton, and he's got Danny G on his tail at the moment. And he is on a bit of a charge as it stands, so watch out for those guys. Norman Clark in that pack as well, so a lot of experienced drivers towards the back. Lachlan Urquio just sneaking around there too. They're just holding it back a little bit, not pushing too hard too early. I feel like they're just waiting to see if the caution comes out early, and then they're going to decide on their pace after that after around maybe about 40-50 laps. They'll sort of think, okay, it looks like this race is going to be green for a while. We're going to come in.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll just keep an eye on them as they're doing that.
Yeah, Dave Douglas just pointing out in the chat, the Darlington stripes are out already. Yeah, I think everybody bar maybe about 3 cars have already earned their stripes tonight.
It's would you say it's a ceremony of sorts for the new drivers to the series to make sure that they end up with that little bit of damage on the right-hand side?
Oh, look, if you haven't given a swipe at Darlington, you're not driving hard enough. You've got to push it here. It's a little bit like Monaco, you know, where you just need to just kiss that barrier a little bit here and again, just to make sure you're going up to speed. And Darlington is one of those tracks where you just want to give that barrier a kiss at least once in the race, just to make yourself known.
Just to make sure the wall's there still.
That's it. Got to give it something to do.
A little bit of a signature.
No, it's useful.
Meanwhile, up at the front, things still relatively smooth. I think Hamish Gallagher there might have just been doing exactly what we spoke about, but he's closed ever so slightly on Hamish Gallagher. Lap times basically identical last time around. Edward Foster still doing the same thing. Ruben Phelps, in the meantime, just dropped back a position or two, so perhaps getting up into the wall there. He's now got Damon Stockton in front of him. He's closing back underneath him. He's got a good run here. Get down the inside of him. Should close that out. He's got a bit of a slide on here. He's going to have to back out of that to make sure he doesn't end up into the wall.
Very close there. Ruben just caught the apron a little bit, the sort of slightly flatter surface of the track, and that caught him out a little bit. He just got a little bit wobbly. Managed to hold it though. That could have been a nasty accident, but Ruben doing a great job to hold that car. So he's going to have to hold back a little bit now. Just watch where Stockton is weak and where he is strong and start planning an attack.
15 laps in, so still plenty of time to go here. Looking at a race length of around about an hour.
Yeah, a little bit longer tonight than usual. Matty Hunter admitting a little bit earlier on that he might have made a slight mistake by adding a couple of extra laps on that he didn't need to. So about 10 more laps than we probably would be going for normally. So a little bit more than normal, but that just brings a little bit more fun and a little bit more strategy into it as well, because it makes a single stop a lot trickier to do, because you do have to think about fuel mileage. So that's what a few of these drivers up the front of the pack are going to be thinking about as well. I imagine somebody like Micklemore has been already thinking about that and probably just easing off a little bit so he knows he can get to the end without too much trouble. Meanwhile, we see coming down the pit lane is that
Aidan Schultz.
Phelps
No,
or
Aidan Schultz. Just trying to get a picture there, and the cameras have let us down. Just trying to get a picture there of what he's doing. So just some tyres on that one. That's a little early, so maybe getting up into the wall and wanting to get out. Looks like there's a little bit of damage to the right-hand front side of that car. And in fact, he has jumped out, so it's disappointing for Aidan.
Yeah, Aidan had a big moment, unfortunately. He was just battling it out with Davidson and Finlay, and just lost the rear end a little bit and went up into the wall and hit that right side very hard. So some really big damage to that right-hand side. And then he got caught by Troy Davidson as well. Troy Davidson just catching the rear of Aiden Schultz's car, and I think that might be his night over and done with. A real shame there. Sad to see him drop out, but we've not had a caution yet. We're 19 laps into Darlington. No caution flag has been flown. Of course, saying that now means a caution will inevitably be thrown. But this is exactly what drivers who are thinking about that two-stop strategy want to see. If it remains green like this, then we're going to see the strategy battle play out. And you're either going to get punished or rewarded for that strategy, because if you come in early, if you come in for that two-stop strategy a little bit earlier than everybody else, you're going to make up so much time on those fresh tyres. It's going to be very useful, and we have seen it's tricky to pass here at Darlington, as we just see somebody actually in the background trying to make it happen. That's Lachlan Urquio and Scott Griffiths there, and the Skull Bandit being overtaken by the fantastic livery on Lachlan Urquio's car. The Aussie New Zealand words are failing me there. The Aussie New Zealand Racing League car there. Good to see Lachlan Urquio trying to get a good result there, but he just can't quite get past Scott Griffiths, so he's still, as we see, struggling to pass a little bit. Christopher Finley now getting attacked by Scott Griffiths, so this will slow him down a little bit. It might be what Urquio needs to actually make a bit of a move. This has given Davidson the chance to get a bit of a runaway, as well as Maddie Raymond, so those two have got a little bit of an opening at the moment.
Yeah, it's one of the risks when you're starting down, or when you voluntarily start at the back. I'm not sure. Lockley obviously did that deliberately, so he started down the back of the pack and got to then challenge his way back up through the field. Of course, the risk involved in that is that you do end up getting caught up in somebody else's incident, but so far so good for Lockie. He's made up 10 spots already.
Up at the front, JCW getting real tail happy. He's just got into the wake of Peter Wilkinson up in just the first car that is just about to be attacked for that lead lap. Wilco getting down nice and low there to let that lead pack pass without trouble at all. Very generous of him there. But JCW just got a little bit tail happy there. That tail just stepped out all of a sudden on him down the front straight. He fished it. He was just fishing it all the way down there. Managed to save it. But Hamish Gallagher has caught right up to the back of JCW now. Josh Mickelmore up into the wall as well, I think, and that's going to be costly for him as Brendan West is going to get close. So the battles at the front of the pack are really starting to heat up now. These drivers are starting to see that this race is looking like it might be a bit of a green one. So they're starting to put some pressure on the lap times and starting to hit the go button a little bit, because they don't want to get caught out too quickly. And you can see JCW has Hamish Gallagher all over the back of him, and this is allowing his teammate Foster to start catching up as well. So we'll see how this goes for Gallagher, because he's in a bit of an Atari sandwich at the moment.
Yeah, he is indeed. We're looking at the back of Joshua Carroll Walden's 35 Atari Autosports entry, and you can see that Gallagher now is putting the pressure on. He's got a good run on here. There's Tay off on the inside, and Gallagher's going to get that move done, so he will take the lead of this race. But as you said, Ed Foster's now closed right back up on the back of Carroll Walden. Is there potentially a benefit here anyway for Carroll Walden not to lead for a little while in terms of fuel strategy? I think someone else take the hit and just sit in behind.
Not overly at this kind of track. It's not one of those circuits where you get too much of that effect hitting in. Obviously a little bit less aero on the front can be useful, but it's I think it's more JCW's used up his tyres a bit quicker. He seems to be struggling a little bit. He's getting a little bit tail happy out the corners and just struggling a little bit. But this time, traffic has come into effect. This is giving JCW the run on Hamish Gallagher. You can see Foster right up the back of JCW as well. These guys getting so close in there. JCW's back end stepping out once more in the corner. He's going to run up extremely high to the wall, but he's going to lose a little bit of speed coming out. Tries to get the throttle on early. Foster just getting held up a little bit there. JCW doesn't look happy at the moment. It looks like those rear tyres have just started to fall off the cliff a little bit.
Indeed it does. So he's going to have to work that one out. We're ages away from pitting if he does want to run the one-stop strategy and it does stay green. So he's just going to have to jog on the spot a little bit there. And you can see in the background there that Josh Mickelmore and Brenton West starting to move up onto this lead pack as well. So soon enough, this trio will become a, what is it, quartet? What's quartet? 6?
Quartet is 4.
It is 4. Sure. Well, there you go. So I've got no idea what's going on tonight. I'm struggling a little bit, but that's okay. I'll keep battling on nonetheless. But this there will be 5 involved in this very shortly. You can see it there.
Yeah, the trouble with working a long day before a broadcast. It catches up to you, doesn't it?
It does.
So apologies in advance for this one. But yeah, Hamish Gallagher has managed to pull out a bit of a gap. You see Foster going down the inside. Oh, Foster getting really loose there. Trying to get past his teammate. This is going to give Micklemore the opportunity to try and make a pounce on Foster. He can't quite make it work this time round. Micklemore is all over the back of Foster like a rash at the moment. They are together on track. There is not much between those two cars. That is really close.
Brenton West as well just carries on through with that one, so it's nice and close there.
Well, that was a big moment, and yeah, I think JCW's really starting to struggle a little bit with those rears. I think he might have just put a little bit too much speed, a little bit too early in, and he might have just got a little bit too much temperature in them, and it's very hard to cool the tyres down. The other problem you're going to start getting now is the thing of marbles, of course. We talk about them week in, week out, and those are those little bits of black rubber that go up on the track and down at the bottom of the track where the cars aren't running. It's a bit like a dry racing line in the wet, of course, where you have all the grip. When you get on those marbles, it sticks to your tyres. It's a bit like running on some dirt or some grass, and then all of a sudden you lose all that grip in that corner, and then you have to wait for them to actually get off the tyres as well, and that can take up to around about 3 to 4 corners, sometimes even a couple of laps, so it can really affect you. Kay Donnelly in the pit lane with Tristan Koch at the moment and Luke Georgeson, so I think those guys are going to be trying to run a slightly alternate strategy.
Just having a look back through the pack, Kate Donnelly's jumped in the pit lane, as you said, but just looking a little ahead of them. Troy Davison's starting to come under pressure from Scott Griffiths as well. So this gap's been narrowing, and just up ahead of them as well is still Matty Raymond, Danny G and Lachlan Urquio just fighting their way through. Of course, Danny G not getting a qualifying lap in, so he's working his way up through the field. He's 10 places up, but likewise Matty Ray and Lachlan Urquio 12 places up the grid. So these three seemingly working together, not able to break away from one another, but using themselves as a group to try and catch back up to Dwayne Priest and those in front.
Yeah, they're not racing each other too much, which is a good thing. Georgeson's gone round. Georgeson has managed to save it coming out of pit lane on those colder tyres. He's lost it again. He's managed to save it, but that is a moment, and he's gone fully round. Will this bring out a caution? Keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. Yes, he's managed to just about keep it going without throwing a yellow. He's got on those marbles. He's just got to try and ease it back. So he's just got to not put his foot down. If you put your foot down too hard, you're going to just spin the rear up. And he's got 3 cars coming up to him now of Matty Ray, Danny G and Lachlan Urquio. But that's what I was talking about, the cold tyres there. And now he's got those marbles on there. You can see that car just does not want to turn. It's like driving on ice at the moment. Meanwhile, Foster's made a move on JCW. So JCW's fallen back a few positions after a little bit of a mistake. He's had a moment going into turn number 1. Foster getting underneath him, and JCW has fallen back behind Josh Micklemore as well. So big moments there up the front.
Yeah, we did miss that one, but that's okay. Let's just say Foster now. What this has allowed is Hamish Gallagher to check out. He's now 1.7 seconds in the clear at the front of this field. So he's got the opportunity here to manage his race a little bit at the front. Not coming under pressure from Foster or Micklemore behind him. So let's see how he chooses to play this one out. Damon Stockton, in the meantime, is coming under pressure from Thomas Martin. And you can see they're just on the back of Stockton in the 696 DPR Simrigs.com entry.
Yeah, there's something about people that surname Martin and the ANZCAR series. They tend to do very well, and Thomas Martin coming in like a wrecking ball at Daytona, doing a fantastic job of getting that unofficial win. Of course, Dave Douglas taking the official victory, but managing to get the P2 in that race. Fantastic result for your first time out there. He's putting Stockton under all kinds of pressure. Nice little move here. He's just got down the inside, holding onto that car. They're going to be side by side. He's just got to keep it on there, just not look down as the caution flags come out.
Caution's coming out. Kay
big
Donnelly.
accident. Big accident. Kay Donnelly involved in that one, as well as a few others.
Cock and Troy Davison.
Cock and Troy Davison, yeah, sorry. So it looks like Davidson's got up into the wall, caught Donnelly, and then unfortunately Tristan Cock is the unfortunate victim. You can see there Cock getting heavily into the wall there, and then a lot of cars coming up behind him as well. That was pretty much the lead pack.
Wilco got in there as well, yeah.
So yeah, very tricky to avoid that one, and unfortunately, really there's no good place to be in that situation. You sort of just get caught there. Unfortunately, a lot of cars wrecking, and you have that moment of thinking, okay, where are they going to stop? Where are they going to stop? And I think Wilco's seen that car spinning around, and he's just chosen to go down a little bit low. And unfortunately, that was the wrong choice for him. Just millimeters out of it. If he'd stayed up a little bit higher, like Matt Hunter, I think it was Matty Hunter did in front of him, he would have got through that one. But that is experience, unfortunately. That is actually, that might have been Josh Micklemore, I think, in front of him. I'm just trying to look now.
He did try to get through. He just unfortunately, just got a tiny little bump that sent him down, and meant that he ended up running into the danger.
Yep. Very unfortunate there. So real shame, and that's going to affect those guys that were trying those two stops. So that's really going to hurt those guys doing the double.
Well, they're making up.
As we've had an issue as well, because looks like Kai Donnelly's just spun it in pit lane. He's had a big moment in pit lane, maybe a failure of some kind, because he just veered off to the left and just crashed it, and then just jumped straight out. But I think that might have caused a penalty for a couple of drivers and caused issue for drivers, because they will have to have passed him. So that's going to be... we'll see how that one shakes out. So some sort of failure there for Donnelly, I'd say, because that looked like some kind of failure with that happening.
Yeah, with how aggressive it was, yeah. We'll have to see how that one plays from there. Josh Micklemore spending a fair bit of time in pit lane. This is Joshua Carroll Walden, so there's a story here. Getting some repairs, perhaps?
I'm wondering if JCW is got a penalty with Josh Micklemore. I reckon those two have got penalties rather than repairs because of that Kay Donnelly incident.
Yeah, right. So well, I mean, look, they're back out now. They're going to catch back up to the pack. So whilst the damage isn't good, it's certainly not race over for them. So we'll see if they get to redress through this process.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, because that was an odd incident there, and that's one of those things that just, unfortunately, in iRacing, of course, because it's a little bit more automatic than anything else. When something like that happens, it can really throw a spanner in the works. So we will see what happened with that one. But yeah, that was a really odd incident there, and as I said, the only thing I can think of is some kind of failure or something like that with the equipment. So a big shame there. But we are under pace car. We are under caution. Hamish Gallagher is in the lead. Foster is second. Thomas Martin in third position. 13th to third here at Darlington. That is one heck of a run.
I was just trying to see if I could find that Donnelly incident in the log, but it's not come up there. It's only just come up with him jumping into pit lane. So, which was, of course, after the thing. We'll see if we can see if this is it here. So Joshua Carroll Walden spun out on the entrance to pit lane, just looked like a check up there. So what Yeah, and there he goes there. As you say, some sort of equipment failure, just hooned off into the wall. So looks like a pedal failure potentially, just with the way that he checked the field up there, and then just went accelerating straight ahead, straight into that wall. So that explains a little bit of it, fortunately, but unfortunately for those involved.
Yeah, really unfortunate for him. A big shame. So, look, one of those things that does happen in racing. As we say, mechanical failures can happen in sim racing, much like full metal motorsport. So these things do happen, sadly. But it is Hamish Gallagher and Foster going to be leading the way. The pace car has come in. When is Gallagher going to drop the pedal? He's waiting for it. You can see Foster is trying to anticipate it here. Gallagher gets a nice run there, jumps away in the lead. Foster in second. Thomas Martin has got a relatively good start, but Damien Stockton has got a much better one. He's going to slip into third position there, and they're going to fall in single file now. Hamish Gallagher doing a fantastic job on that restart.
Yeah, absolutely. He predicted and got the jump. Did a good job at the start there. There's a little bit of a pack of racing going on a little bit further back. Norm Clark, Steve Williams, Ruben Phelps running 3 wide. Josh Carl-Walden there trying to make up his pace where he can. Josh Mickelmore's just dropped a couple of positions. In fact, he's gone back into pit lane, maybe for a drive-through penalty.
Yeah, I think I heard on the radio he got a black flag, so he might well have a penalty right there. So he's going to have to serve that one. Joshua Carroll-Walden just struggling a little bit, I think, down the back. He's just he's dicing it out with his teammate Norman Clark at the moment. Those two side by side a couple of times this lap, having a good race at the moment. No team orders going on there for sure.
No, it's not at all. So he'll be trying to make his way and stick with Phelps, Williams, and Urquio where he can. But the field's just nicely spread out now after that restart. And up the front, it is Hamish Gallagher, my apologies, with Edward Foster closing down on him now, and Damon Stockton as well. So front three for you there. Everyone jumping through pit lane on that caution period. So rubber, not a problem here. And potentially Carl able to make it to the end?
What lap are we on?
45 of 120.
Might be a bit tight to the end from here. I think everybody's going to have to stop one more time. So I think everybody will have to stop. You might see a few super savers on fuel try and actually make it to the end, but I think everybody will have to stop. From what I was told prior to the race, it was about 60 to 70 laps of fuel. So,
so yeah,
it might be a bit tight. So we'll have to see how that one goes. But yeah, some good racing going on down the pack at the moment, and as I say, they're all going to sort of fall in single file for the moment, but you can see drivers pushing a little bit harder early on in the race. You can see Stockton are actually doing exactly that. He's pushing hard now. That's going to cost him a little bit later on, but he's trying to get that track position over Foster, because it is a tricky place to pass sometimes.
Even this battle's continuing with Brenton West, Dwayne Priest and Danny G as well, so these guys are all pushing to try and get the move done.
Yeah, it's I think it caught a few drivers out, unfortunately, with that pit lane incident, because I know Josh Mickelmore got caught with that. He definitely got a black flag in that one, and it just threw a lot of cars out of position. Meanwhile, up the front, Foster is now trying to turn the screws on Gallagher, seeing what he can do, and he is putting the pressure on.
Right on board the roof. The 53 Atari Autosports entry, so he tries to find his way past.
Yeah, he's really trying. He's just probing at the moment. But the trouble is, he's got Damon Stockton on his 6 doing the exact same thing. So it's hard to be attacking and defending at the same time. And Foster's got to do both of those at the moment. But the same story is throughout the field, all the way down pretty much to Ruben Phelps at the moment in 11th. They are all nose to tail. And Phelps will soon have a fast charging JCW on his 6 as well. So this battle is definitely starting to hit up for the top end of the race, and this is going to be a fascinating one as it goes on. We've still got 71 laps remaining, and we don't think anyone can make it on fuel from here, so that's going to be interesting to see. It's moments like this that get juicy and exciting.
I thought you were about to say it's moments like this that need minties, but I'm not too sure where to look at the moment in terms of the strategy that the drivers are going to employ. You know, there's a little bit of sense of saving a little bit where you can, just to make that second stop shorter. If everyone's going to have to do it anyway, then there's some advantage to be gained there. Of course,
the trouble with that, Stuart, is you're going to take all four tyres. Nobody's going to take rights only. I think all four tyres is the best option here. So you might as well just top it up with fuel. It's a little bit different in that respect because you don't lose as much time with the fuel. It's all about the tyres in a race like this. As all Brenton West just got up into the wall, and that's going to give Dwayne Priest an opportunity for a bit of a run on him a little bit further down the pack behind Matty Ray at the moment. Priest trying to put the pressure on, but not quite making it work. He's got up into the wall himself. Darlington strike for Priest there. He just did that perfectly, though. He didn't lose too much time. Dropped off a little bit, just had to ease off a little bit, but he didn't fall down in position, importantly.
Sort of just caught him there, didn't it? So it just a gentle rub to sort of get him back into where he needed to be, but could have been a lot worse for him. As, again, just getting a little high. He's got Danny G just giving him a little bit of a hassle. He'd have one eye behind, one eye in front, and Lachlan Urquhart coming with that as well. So it's albeit everything just nicely spaced at the moment. You can't afford to make even the smallest of mistakes. So if you do, you're going to drop a couple of positions. So.
Speaking of exactly that, I think David Stockton actually did the exact thing you said. He just made a little bit of an error on the exit of a corner, and that's just given Thomas Martin the opportunity to just catch up to him and given Foster the chance to break away a bit too. Foster is right on the back of Gallagher now. Those two are having a great battle up the front, and then it is from Stockton down. Just an absolute melee at the moment. The Furball is absolutely at its fightiest. So it is fantastic to watch at the moment. It's just anybody's race really from here, from third onwards. As we see Martin making the move on Stockton, he tries to get underneath him. This could be costly because he's got Matty Ray just lurking behind him at the moment. Martin just dropping down a little bit, trying to make that move work. Couldn't quite make it happen, and has just fallen out of position. Meanwhile, Danny G has just made a very decisive move on Dwayne Priest. Very, very brave stuff from Danny G there. Just came right up and really stole that position away there. Really nice, solid pass for position.
So he continues his charge towards the front. Matty Ray still our biggest move of the night, up 18 positions into P5, if you don't mind. Continuing now to apply pressure to the back of Thomas Martin, and then you've got Lachlan Urquhart up 16 and Danny G up 15. So some strong moves from those.
Lachlan Urquhart's around. We've got a big incident. Dwayne Priest and Urquhart.
That will bring out that second caution.
Priest up into the wall. He caught the marbles, bounced off the wall, and then went down into Urquhart. So watch this again, you see, and there it is. Accident there. Just nothing you can do in that situation. Just basically both cars are almost passengers. Dwayne Priest will have got some suspension damage for sure there. Lachlan Urquhart might have gotten away relatively unscathed with that one. But we'll see a whole heap of cars coming into pit lane again, I imagine. But you do have 4 tyre sets limit, so some may stay out, some may come in. It's a bit of a gamble to stay out now, because if it runs green to the end here, you could be looking at losing this race completely. So you might see people coming in just to top up some fuel.
Interesting. It almost looked like just 2 separate incidents that came together. You can see Urquhart there just straight up into the top line as well. So
yeah, he got a bit sucked up there. The aero just pulling him up a little bit. It's one of the things at Darlington as well. You do run up to that high point, and unfortunately with Priest having that incident, I think Lockie was just trying to almost accelerate past the crash. He was hoping to just miss it, and Priest just didn't slow down as much as he expected, so it caught him out a little bit. Expect to see somebody like Josh Mickelmore try and take advantage of this. He is going to get a lap back here, and that's going to put him only 1 lap down, and he might be able to sneak back onto the lead lap and actually salvage something of this race now.
Well, the other one who...
Maddie Ray I think Maddie Ray's... no, sorry. Somebody got out in front of Hamish Gallagher.
Brenton West.
Okay, interesting. Yes, because I saw somebody sneaking
Short
their way through.
Yes.
He only took rights, so he's only taken 1 set of tyres as well, so he's doing a bit of a gamble there. I'm not sure if everybody else did a full 4 set too, so...
And so Stephen Williams copped a little bit of damage out of that incident as well. Looks like he got away with it though. It's just in the middle of the right-hand door. So the front of the car there on a little bit of damage, ever so slightly damaged as well, but he got very lucky. He saw the crash at the last minute and had to take evasive action, just catching the bumper of Urquio as he tried to get down underneath the incident. So lucky there for Stephen Williams. Not too much damage done. He'll be able to keep going and hopefully press home a challenge.
Yeah, he's going to be trying to put some pressure on, so
was back in to get a bit more damage repaired.
Going to be cycling it through to get those repairs done and seeing how he can go. Micklemore's going to take his pit stop now. Get that done. He's back basically just a lap down, so he's going to be praying for another caution and to be the lucky dog in that effect to sort of get back onto the racing lap. Brenton West has to be careful now because he's running on some set of tyres. He's got a nice new set of right side tyres and a reasonably older set of left side tyres, you know. So that green stint, he will have punished those inside tyres a little bit. So he's gambling on those single set of tyres only. So he's taking a bit of a gamble. He's taken a little bit of a different strategy here, and he's just trying something a little bit different. Good to see Tristan Koch has managed to get back out there. Very damaged car, as well as Peter Wilkinson. So those two managed to get back out there with a lot of damage on the car, but trying to at least get some laps under their belt and get some experience under the belts as well, and get some points as well for the season. So they'll be able to get past the pace car now as everybody starts pacing up. And it will be Brenton West leading us away, with Hamish Gallagher on the outside line. Now, Brenton West has to be careful here not to spin up those tyres too much. He just has to ease onto that accelerator gently, because otherwise you can spin it up too much and lose that rear end. It's very easy to lose a car on slightly long tyres here. The person who's probably going to affect most is going to be Edward Foster. If West gets a poor start, Foster is going to be in some real trouble.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they will be coming around to take the green shortly. Brenton West will be leading away. A bit of damage in the rear of that car. You can see from the bonnet of Foster's. The Tari Autosport there with the AJ Insurance Services livery on there. West is going to wait for it. He's going to wait until he gets on the straight, I imagine, to put his foot down. So wait until he gets to the line. Kind of does that, puts his foot down. Does get a good start there, though. He gets a really nice start, and so does Foster. Foster on the inside of Hamish Gallagher at the moment. They're going to go side by side into the first corner. Who's going to be the bravest? It looks like Foster is. Foster manages to take second place from Hamish Gallagher. Damon Stockton thinking about it, but can't quite make the move happen. Brenton West getting a really good start there. Surprising, I think, Hamish Gallagher a little bit. Caught him napping.
Yeah, it did, absolutely. So Foster got a good run there. We had a great view of it from the rooftop of the 53 car as well. Able to hear when he went away, and Foster, a little, very small amount of wheel spin, in fact none at all, and able to just get the jump on Gallagher and get the 53 up into second place after our second caution period of the night. We're over halfway through this one. Just looking at those cars in the background. Jeez.
Watch right now as Foster starts to put pressure on West. He has got 4 fresh tyres. West has got 2. This is going to be tricky for him. Brenton West is going to be under all kinds of pressure right now, and he's going to have to try and weather it. And Foster is going to be applying it super hard. So Brenton West is going to have to show us what he's made of right here. He is driving at a disadvantage. He only has 2 tyres on that car, while everybody else has 4. And you can see he's just lost a little bit of traction out of that corner. Foster gets much better drive out of turns 2 and 3. out of turn 2, and gets the move made into turn 3. Foster taking the lead of the race. Brenton West falling back into 2nd position. Now he's got to try and defend against the fast-charging Hamish Gallagher.
That's going to be no easy feat at all. It's Gallagher with 4 new boots on that number 13 entry. So the gamble here not necessarily paying off for Brenton. So he got him up a couple of places, but the thing at the front resumes here. Hamish Gallagher takes back that spot. Now up into P2. He's in pursuit of Edward Foster.
Yeah, watch West start to plummet a little bit now. He's going to start struggling as this one goes on, unfortunately. And it's more so that those... Usually the right side are the only tyres you have to worry about, and you can get away with left side only, especially in a short stint like that. But Darlington is one of those tracks that really does like to punish you. And the left tyres are just as important as the right sometimes. And unfortunately, if it was a green-white checker, that would have worked out perfectly for Brenton West. Unfortunately, it was not, and it really has cost him. A little bit further down the field, Matty Ray being passed by Norman Clark. Norman Clark doing a great job there, getting underneath Matty Raymond there in the ANZCAR car. Norman Clark really pushing hard and pushing fast at the moment, getting some good speed in that vehicle.
Yeah, he is. Good turn of pace is pulling away from him as well. And right now you're seeing Matty Hunter make that move. Christopher Finlay jogging on the spot behind, as is Scott Griffiths. So Lachlan Urquhart just having a little bit of a blink there. He's back out on track after that incident.
Yeah, good to see drivers getting back out there. Of course, championship points are always important. A little bit further back. Oh, very close between Stockton and Martin right there. Thomas Martin getting very close to the back of Stockton, and he's fallen back a little bit. This is giving Ruben Phelps a chance to get a bit of a run. He's managed to get past Joshua Carroll Walden, slip in behind Martin at the moment. JCW just dropping back a little bit, but trying to get back up to pace now. And you can see those two fighting it out side by side down the start finish straight. Ruben Phelps closes the door quite emphatically there. Stops JCW from making the move. And Martin just gets caught up behind Stockton that time. This is going to be terrible news for Martin, because Phelps is going to get a good run on him here. Phelps doing a little bit of a slide job to get underneath Martin. Gets the move made. Gets the position made. Ruben Phelps on a bit of a charge.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good move there for him. Just checking in a bit further back. Joshua Carroll Walden, after that pit lane entry infringement, is continuing his press back up towards the front of the field. He's got to get Thomas Martin past Thomas Martin. Doesn't do anything about that.
Yeah, a bit of an up-and-coming superstar in Thomas Martin. We've seen some great racing from him past couple of races in the Xfinity Series. We saw it last year as well. Last season, we saw some newcomers come in and absolutely make a name for themselves. Exactly what we want to see in the series. Fresh blood coming in, and it is always good to see. Not just up the top of the field, but all the way through the field. We need new people in the sport, because, you know, eventually people decide to hang up the gloves and sort of take it a little bit easier, and it's always nice to have some new faces in. The other thing, of course, is when you get some fresh faces in, they sometimes bring some different driving styles and can really catch you out, and it forces you to up your game a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. We welcome new drivers, and it's part of what this series is about as well, of course, is continuing to broaden the talent pool, give drivers a place to develop their craft. So very, very good to see them join in as well.
I was listening to the Locked On iRacing podcast today that got launched, and Wilco was a bit harsh on himself from Daytona. It very much is our biggest, his own biggest critic, I've got to say. But this is the whole thing. This series is here for people to learn. It is here for people to make the odd mistake here and there. But the thing is, you only learn from mistakes generally. You know, when you make a mistake, you tend not to make it again. You learn from them. You make yourself better. And this is exactly what the Thunder series is about, is from learning from those mistakes and improving your driving and working your way up the field. And it is a great environment to do it in because everybody around you is willing to help you too. The guys out there want to race you hard, but they also want to be raced hard as well. So they would much rather have you as competition than just to go round and lap you many times. So they will help you out. Meanwhile, JCW is getting attacked by Danny G. Danny G doing a nice job on the brakes there, getting it late, lunge down underneath JCW and making the move in that Mitch Motorsport car. He's managed to make 15 positions now, up into P7. He's working his way up the field strong.
Absolutely. So next on his list is Thomas Martin. It continues with Stockton, Martin and Phelps just fighting away in front of them. Things stable at the front of this race, albeit that Gallagher now putting the pressure on Foster. Stay here for a minute.
Ruben Phelps taking that high line on Martin, and he's going to make that move past. He has worked his way up another position, Ruben Phelps. He is really charging his way up the field at the moment, and he wants to try and make a move on Stockton, but you can see Martin has not given up for fighting yet. One of those drivers new to the series, and it does throw a few people off the position up the front of the pack when you're racing some different people, because it does throw you off. Meanwhile, Hamish Gallagher is putting on the moves in the Diet Coke machine. The Diet Coke Mitch Motorsport car is trying its best to get past the AJ Insurance Services Natari car of Foster. Those two are battling it out like nothing else, and this is helping Brenton West. The battle between Stockton, Phelps and Martin, and Gallagher and Foster are just going to help him catch those two and give him a little breathing room behind for those tyres to start balancing out. You can see West is basically keeping pace now with the leaders, so it was a big gamble going for those tyres. Oh, we've got an incident though. Christopher Finlay around.
Yeah, and that has brought out the caution. Finlay just trying to turn the Mustang around. Get it back out on track. So you'll see a huge run of cars into pit lane now. They'll get fresh tyres on. Oh, he's just had a big tank slapper and around he goes. Whoa. Yeah,
look, that happened a little bit earlier on in turn number 4. He hit the wall, and then unfortunately Lachlan Urquio, similar to the incident we saw before with Dwayne Preece, he had nowhere to go and just got caught up with Christopher Finlay. So, you know, again, just unlucky positioning there. Now, of course, these guys have swapped tyres a couple of times now. They're effectively out of fresh tyres. So we're going to see people sticking it out there and saving that last set of tyres for the end of the race now. We might see a few people gamble. A few people decide to come in now and strap those fresh tyres on and try and hope this race remains green for another 40-odd laps. But the rest of the field are going to stick it out there just in case that caution comes later in the race. The interesting one will be if we get a caution with 20 laps to go, who is going to gamble and stick it out there and who's going to come in for those fresh boots?
Yeah, well, and will you rue the decision if you don't do it? Will there be a caution? Edward Foster playing games as we would expect him to do, just ducking down a little bit there, just throwing the idea out that maybe it should be time to run in, but no.
Good point. This is perfect for Josh Micklemore now. He has managed to get back onto the lead lap. So that penalty that he received, unfortunately for himself, has been effectively cleaned. He has managed to get from 2 laps down back to the lead lap now. So Josh Micklemore is sitting in a good spot at the moment. He's managed to get back on the lead lap, but he has to work his way up a lot of positions. There's a lot of fighting now to get back to the front, the pointy end of the field for himself. It's going to be a tricky night for him.
Here it is. Let's see how it plays out for him. What can he do to try and address those that early issue that affected him?
So Foster in the lead, Gallagher second, West in third position, Stockton in fourth. This is kind of a disaster for West, I'd say, although the tyres will have plateaued a little bit. But it's gonna be a little bit trickier for that restart for him, just because those tyres are going to be a little bit worrisome. So we'll see how this one goes. So we'll see how that one goes on the restart, because he might just have a little bit of trouble on that inside set of tyres on that restart. So Brenton West has got to be a little bit more cautious on this restart than some of the others, but he can't afford to be too cautious, of course.
So Foster will control the field at the restart. Hamish Gallagher is going to be on that high side.
Foster will be happy to be out front for this for this restart. It's it's going to help him out a little bit here, give him the opportunity to dictate to where he drops the pedal. He might decide to throw the dice a little bit and drop it mid corner, just to throw few people out. So we'll see what Foster decides here. If he decides to risk it a little bit and drop it on the corner, or if he decides to go a little bit easier on the rest of the drivers and take off on a little bit more of the straight section.
Yeah, well, we will see. Let's jump on a little bit further back for this restart, and we'll sit with Danny G on the roof of the 24. He's currently sitting in P7. We'll have a look at how this restart looks from a little bit further back. You can hear him change down a gear there just to get ready to go. Got corner to go here before things get underway. You can see they're just forming up there. Edward Foster's to the left as you look at the screen on that lower line. He is in control of the field. When will he go?
He's waiting a long time, and he goes just on the exit of the corner to try and catch a few people out, and it does catch Brenton West out. Brenton West, a big accident behind, going into Stockton. Oh, that was a big one. Danny G making it through miraculously. The parting of the seas for Danny G.
Oh, wow, that was so close. Danny G just managing to get through there. His name is Stockton.
Griffiths really caught up in that one as well. So Scotty Griffiths got really, really badly caught up in that one. Unfortunately, Damon Stockton, the biggest loser, but it has remained green. That's the main thing. It's remained green. Right now, Hamish Gallagher's right on the back of Foster and trying to put the pressure on. That was... I was saying a little bit how he has to be careful on that restart, and how Foster maybe will drop it on the exit, just on the corner a little bit to try and catch a few drivers out. And I think that proves the old point of, yep, that's exactly what Foster did. So I think that was sort of that plan, that worked out perfectly for Foster's idea of that start.
Greatest commentator's curse ever?
I think it was commentator's foresight on that one. But no, really good start. I think I heard over the radio Ruben Phelps might have got a black flag, unfortunately. He's running in third position at the moment. So that is going to be a hideous thing for him if that actually happens, because he's having a fantastic night. Danny G up 18 positions at the moment in P4, with Thomas Martin in 5th, JCW in 6th, Matty Ray in 7th, 8th is Brenton West, 9th is Norman Clark, and 10th position is Josh Micklemore. And Ruben Phelps indeed has to come in to serve a drive-through. That's a huge shame for Ruben.
Terribly, terribly bad luck for Ruben Phelps. He deserved much better than that tonight. Hopefully we get another caution so he can get back up into the pack and get a position that he deserves. I wonder what the cause of that was. Potentially that that incident after the restart.
Yeah, it would be instant points on that one. I would say he's just gotten too many instant points for the evening, and it's clicked over to that point. So you can get yourself 12 instant points, and then you get a black flag. So you have to come for a drive-through, and then if you hit 17, you are done for the night. You have to park the cars. So I think Ruben has just had a few taps here and there, and it's just built up over time. And that's one of the problems here at Darlington. It's one of those tracks where you can get really, really punished for just driving the track, because you do tend to rub the wall a lot. Many of them will be 0x's, and of course what we mean by that in iRacing is when you rub the wall, when you touch the wall, it effectively dishes out a little penalty just to say stop that, so you don't cheat. Some of them will be what's called a 0x, which means it doesn't really matter, it's just saying oi, watch it. But a lot of the time it will be a double X or a 1x, and they build up over time. So every time you touch another car, if you just give a little tap to the car in front of you, or a bit of a tap to the wall, you're going to build up those 1Xs, and eventually you will get yourself a penalty. And one of the ways we stop dirty racing is by having those in place, so you can't have too many penalties, otherwise you drop yourself into pit lane for a drive-through.
Fair enough, and it looks like Ruben's coming back into pit lane, so potentially getting a speeding infringement or something of the like, or maybe deciding it's worthwhile chucking tyres on it or something like that. But he's back into pit lane now, so he's gone a few laps down. That's very, very disappointing.
Yeah, big shame for Ruben Phelps. He was having a fantastic drive out there tonight, and again, just showing that pace once more. We've seen it from Phelps, we've seen it from Schultz. Both of them have the pace, just sometimes don't have that luck, or just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And yeah, unfortunately, with that incident when Brenton West lost that car on that restart, it was really just wrong place, wrong time for Phelps, and that has cost him dearly.
Josh Mickelmore unlapped himself and finds himself now in a battle with Joshua Carroll-Walden and Brenton West. So he potentially will pick up a couple of positions here. He's got some pace on West, so he moves down to the inside line. He won't quite get it done this time around, but he is going to try, as he just gets a slide done there, but he's just going to try work out where it's best to get past Brenton West. So as JCW gets pretty high there, gets just away from the wall just in time. So this battle pack here, very, very close.
JCW checking up a little bit. This is going to give West the opportunity to make a move on JCW. Ruben Phelps is coming back onto the track. You can see, Josh Mickelmore trying to be sneaky there on West. Can't quite make it work there. He really tried to sneak it up behind JCW there. They are battling it out. West is in an unenviable position at the moment on that inside line. Will he make the move? He does. Micklemore goes right down on the inside, goes onto the flat of the track. He manages to hold it somehow even. He's going to make the move as JCW gets forced out wide. This is going to give Matt Hunter a run as well on Joshua Carroll-Walden. Great move there from Brenton West. Even better move there from Josh Mickelmore. Both of those just absolute opportunists. Josh Mickelmore just smelling blood in the water, sort of almost going, look, my race has been ruined tonight already. I'm going to go for it. And he did indeed. I'm sure Trev Mickelmore will have jumped up from his seat in that one.
Yeah, no, fantastic move there. Getting that done. So he's still got time. We've still got 29 laps to go here for Josh Mickelmore to potentially end up on the podium. It's a very Mitch Motorsport thing to do. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see him up fighting with Danny G and Matty Raymond in a few laps' time. So there's about 3 seconds to make up to Matty Ray in front. It's not insurmountable with the amount of laps left. And at the moment, lapping at a little quicker as well than Matty Ray. So it's happened before. And as we say, that he's just clobbered the wall there on the exit. So it's going to affect that challenge a little bit.
I think Mickelmore will be happy if he could get a top 5 tonight. He'd be pretty happy. Meanwhile, at the front, the battle is going on. Foster and Gallagher are still fighting it out at the moment. Just getting past Stockton, who has gone a lap down with that car crabbing a little bit. This has given Hamish Gallagher a little bit of a run on the inside of Foster, though the 13 trying to make a move. Can't quite get it. Just needed a little bit more speed there, but he's going to get a better exit here. Foster comes down to cut his nose off there. Comes across, cuts off the nose of the Diet Coke car, and keeps the lead of the race there, Foster. That was a very well-positioned move because Gallagher was really on a charge there. He had that position gained. Foster just showing some great defensive driving.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the same time, we're also having a look at this battle here. Just popping back again because Thomas Martin under pressure from Brenton West again, and we've got an out of position Ruben Phelps there as well, but that close battle there continues just in front of Josh Mickelmore as well. He's not lost any pace from that damage, so these two fighting away. In fact, there's a change for position there as well. Matty Ray is just jogging on the spot by himself, so he has not a little pressure on him at the moment either.
West just making a little bit of a mistake. They're getting a little bit too low on the track. Couldn't quite make it hold like Micklemore did a few laps before. And you can see there Ruben Phelps just getting up past. He might be a couple of laps down, Phelps, but he's still racing, of course. And you don't have to yield positions. There's no blue flags in oval racing. You have to make your way past those lapped cars, and those lapped cars can make their way past you as well. Because if a couple of cautions come out, their race can come back to them, much like we're seeing with Josh Micklemore at the moment, who was 2 laps down earlier on in this race, and then is now running in 6th position.
Up at the front, Edward Foster's just stretched his legs a little bit on Hamish Gallagher. So 4 tenths now between the two of them. There's 24 to go here. Traffic around there as well.
It's going to be traffic management, and this is going to be one of the things Foster's going to be hating to see in front of him. He just wants to see a clean track at the moment that he can just stretch out onto and not have to think about passing any other cars, just keeping Gallagher behind him. He's just going to be thinking, oh, why does there have to be a lapped car there? Danny G's sitting a little bit in no man's land at the moment in 3rd position, along with Matty Ray as well. He's sitting a little bit in the position where nothing much is happening in 4th. Meanwhile, the big battle is going on from 5th down. We've got Martin, Micklemore and West battling it out for position. Micklemore is past West at the moment, and he is putting the pressure on Thomas Martin. Keep wanting to say Jason Martin, of course. So used to saying those two names at the same time. But Thomas Martin, of course, new to the series, is doing another fantastic job keeping it in the top 5 at the moment and keeping off multiple winner and ANZCAR veteran Josh Micklemore behind him.
Yeah, we'll just keep watching this one for the minute. The gap at the front just widening a little. It's still at 3 tenths, so this is where the action's at on track. As you can see there.
Micklemore just getting underneath there. He's really trying to tuck himself up underneath Martin and just get a good little bit of slipstream to fling himself round. He can't quite make it work, though. Martin is doing a fantastic job of defending at the moment.
Great driving skill there from Josh Micklemore, just feathering the throttle just to stay off the back of the bumper of Thomas Martin. Martin gets high in the line. This is help Micklemore. Is he going to get the run on? He just can't quite. Yes, he can. He's got the layer down. Oh, great racing there. And looks like Micklemore's going to get the move done there. And it's West who's going to try and get through as well. He does. So the double dip there for those two going past, and it is Josh Micklemore now up into 5th ahead of Brenton West, and Thomas Martin dropping 2 spots there. So can Micklemore catch Matty Ray? It's 5 seconds now. Keep an eye out on how his progress goes, but back up at the front now. It's under 3 tenths between Foster and Gallagher.
Yeah, this battle for the lead is some fantastic racing. We're seeing great defensive driving, great offensive driving going on between all of those drivers at the moment. Thomas Martin, meanwhile, has to watch out for the fast charging Norman Clark as well, who's catching on to the back of him. And he's really looking to make the pass at the moment too. So it's a bit hard to know where exactly to watch as it stands. You know, there's battles all throughout the track. Norman Clark just not quite able to make it this time round, but he is starting to put the pressure on Martin to see what this newcomer to the series has and see what kind of pressure he can take. Norman Clark definitely going to be applying that pressure and trying his best to get another good, strong top 10 finish. As Martin touches the wall there, just takes a little glance. That's going to give the opportunity to try and make a move. Just up ahead, I think Brenton West has made a move on Josh Micklemore as well. So Micklemore just falling back a position. Brenton West, the fast charger at the moment. Martin managed to defend that spot from Norman Clark. So Martin doing another good job of the defensive driving at the moment.
And it continues to be close up at the front. It's down to 2 tenths now. So there's a sneeze in it between Foster and Gallagher.
Yeah, you say we'll get the second camera up soon, hopefully all working properly. We may need to get a third, fourth and fifth camera at some stage as well, Stuart, because there is just too much action going on track at the moment. It makes it so hard to watch.
We have to crowdfund it, Carl, if we're going to get 3, 4 and 5 up. And I just don't have that many hands either, so we need to employ someone.
Contact between Norman Clark, Wellman and Martin. They all managed to keep it going, but a little bit of a check-up between those two. Gary Wellman getting a huge run on Norman Clark. Wellman absolutely charging his way through the field at the moment, but just gets caught up there, and that's just thrown Norman Clark off a little bit. That's thrown him down a little bit from that battle that he was having with Martin.
And just damage on the front of Norman Clark's car there as well, so... see how that pans out and impacts him. This gap, it's just sticking around that 2/10 at the front. Nothing much changing. Expecting it to, though, as Thomas Martin now has Gary Wellman on his back. So jump back here and have a look. As he looks like he's going to make a move down underneath Martin here. Get it done. Oh, Martin gets up into the wall. A little bit of a knock there as well onto Wellman. So Martin's going to lose 2 positions here. Is Norm Clark able to get that done? He's going to get a much better run, surely. And get down underneath here. But no, not quite. Yeah, he's going to push that through there. So 2 positions there. Dropped, unfortunately, for Martin. He's got a little bit of work to do now as he tries to retaliate on Norman Clark. He's got good run. Still not just quite able to get it done. So a little bit further.
Norman slamming the door there and saying 9 Vanguard 9 tonight on him there in his wonderful South African accent, of course. Norman Clark doing a great battle there. Good to see Norman up in the top 10 as well. It's always fantastic to watch Norman drive, one of the elder statesmen of ANZCAR, but a fantastic racer to race against.
Absolutely a man of many stories.
Most of them involving a baboon at some stage.
Of course.
As is always the case. Meanwhile, Foster's managed to build a bit of a gap at the front. He's managed to pull out about half a second, just over half a second actually. So Foster just managing to get a little bit of a gap with 11 laps to go. That's good news for him. So that's going to give him a little bit of breathing space. Meanwhile, a bit further back, Brenton West has managed to break away from Josh Micklemore. Brenton West doing a great job. He's one of the faster cars out there at the moment. And remember, he's got those very old left side tyres. Those inside tyres are much older than the rest of the field. So he only took the outside tyres, the right side tyres. So he's doing a fantastic job of keeping that car on pace at the moment. Maddie Ray and Danny G both battling it out for the most positions gained at the moment. They're tied with 19 each. So if Maddie Ray can get past Danny G, he'll take the win for the most positions gained, but it's going to be a tough one to catch up to him, I think. Meanwhile, Josh Micklemore's just got to watch out for the fast-charging Gary Wellman, who's got some seriously good speed on him at the moment. Wellman seems to have just a bit more pace than the rest of the field, and I'm just wondering if maybe he took the opportunity to come in for tyres on that last stop, because it's saying on my tracker that he's done 3 pit stops, so I'm wondering if he has slightly fresher tyres on board. Meanwhile, Micklemore just getting into the wall again, keeps nibbling away at the Darlington wall, getting lots of stripes on the right side of that Mitch car, and that's going to be affecting him an enormous amount as this race goes on. Each tap of that wall is just going to be hurting more and more. Even Mr. Sheen could not keep it clean tonight. The 83 does have a couple of the old Darlington stripes on the right-hand side. Not too many. It's one of the cleaner-looking cars out there at the moment. The cleanest, I've got to say, is Foster and Gallagher. Both of those cars still looking pristine somehow.
Yeah, just managing to avoid the damage, the stripes, as you call them. So, what a drive from Danny G, though. Up into 3rd position, 19 spots, and as you say, Matty Ray, 19, so they're battling it out for that biggest mover, but a great drive from both of them too to get through as well. Danny G just miraculously parting the sea, as we saw. So he managed to avoid that incident that did cause our last... no, in fact, it didn't cause a caution. No, it did cause our last caution, so...
Yeah, that was definitely one of those moments that you take a deep breath afterwards. There were a couple of those last time out at Daytona, I've got to say. I managed to get lucky in a few of those incidents, and there was a couple of deep breaths taken and just, whew, how did I survive that moment? But Daytona is often like that. With a big crash like that, you just kind of close your eyes and hope you're going to make it through sometimes.
Oh, wow. Who was that? It looked like... Didn't see who that was down there, but someone just clouded the wall and went shooting off. It might have been
that was
Luke.
Georgeson.
Yeah, Luke Georgeson, who's just hit the wall and headed off down to the infield, not causing a caution. Fortunately, caution right now wouldn't be good at the front here. We've got Foster now. He's got stretching it out towards a second lead over Hamish Gallagher, but he is in traffic. He's just going past here Thomas Martin. He will be trying to make his way past Thomas Martin.
Yeah, and as always, you don't have to let anybody past in oval racing, but it's usually a nice thing to do, just to let the leader get through. You know, you generally go, look, go on through, lads. It's we don't want to get involved too much in that battle. Foster has got almost a 0.3 of a second lead over... he's got a 1.5 second lead over Gallagher right now. So he has got a nice bit of breathing space at the moment. Danny G, meanwhile, he's almost in nowhere at the moment. You can't see a car around him. He's got very much clean air. You've got to say same for Maddie Ray. Those two just finding the clearest spots on the track. Brenton West is pretty happy in 5th position at the moment. Gary Wellman has managed to get past Josh Micklemore and is now trying to charge down Brenton West, but with only 3.5 laps to go, I don't think he has got a chance to do it unless West makes a big mistake.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. Norm Clark and Matty Hunter having a little bit of a battle there as well. The damage on the front of Norm's car there.
Not a single car out there without damage. Josh Micklemore absolutely flinging that thing around and holding on for dear life at the moment. That car does not look secure at all. We might see Micklemore falling back past Norman Clark and Matt Hunter right here, as he's just struggling to get that car around. That thing is just as tight as it can be and just does not seem to want to turn. He just seems to be in the wall every single corner at the moment. Meanwhile, Foster will be coming up to the white flag shortly. So he has got a whole pack of traffic in front of him. So he'll be pretty happy to see that white flag come out and kind of help him out here, because he just would not want to have this race going on much longer as he catches up to those guys.
No, absolutely not. So unnerving.
That's it. White flag is out. Foster is going round for his final lap right now. Just got to keep it out ahead of Hamish Gallagher. He's got a 1.5 second lead, almost 2 seconds now. Foster, just a couple more corners to go. He's just got to breathe that car through there, get it across the line, and he will take victory. He will have tamed the track and gotten the win here at the Darlington race for the Wednesday Night Thunder Series here on FGM eCast.
Yeah, really good drive. Keeping that car clean. Hamish Gallagher bring home second. And it's going to be Danny G home in third. So a really strong result for the three of them. Danny G, 19 spots onto the podium. Matty Raymond, special mention to him, 19 spots as well. Just finishing in 4th. So a good run for them. Brenton West at the end of the night just jogs on the spot, finishes in 5th, started in 5th, so he'll be happy with that. Gary Wellman up 18 spots, good hard charge at the end. Josh Micklemore finishing in 7th. He'll be disappointed with that, but happy with it overall, given how his night went. He managed to get back onto the lead lap and get up into 7th. And Matty Hunter finished in 8th, with battling Norm Clark for 9th, and then it was Thomas Martin rounding out our top 10 here for race 2, or round 2 of the Xfinity Thunder Series.
yeah, that was a typical. Well, that was a classic Darlington style race. There, we had it all with everything happening there. But Foster and Gallagher were pretty much untouchable at the front. Those two just had a fantastic race, and just how clean those two cars are as well speaks so much for both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. They've got things done the right way, so and managed to get up onto the podium. So
Yes.
just waiting. I was just going to say, so we're just waiting here for the podium to jump into the green room. So it'll just be another few seconds or so, and then we'll get on with having a chat with the guys ahead of that one. So we've got tomorrow night, Carl, just while we're waiting, heading into the chase. It is my my first chase with ANZCAR. What are we to expect?
Well, expect the unexpected. It's going to be a fantastic thing. Of course, the chase effectively resets everything. The championship is reset. The top 10 drivers have gone, well, top 11 drivers, but top 10 drivers, because we did have a joint 10th place in the championship. Second time in a year that's actually happened, so interesting with that one. But those guys will all be racing it out. They will basically be in their finishing order with a point between them, and they will be racing to win the championship. So it's effectively going for the championship from there. They've got 10 races to do it in, and yeah, it's going to be some fun stuff. Josh Micklemore obviously taking out the regular season, so he'll be starting off with that little points advantage.
Well, we are joined by our podium for tonight, Danny G, Hamish Gallagher and Edward Foster. Carl, take it away.
Okie dokie. Well, we'll start off with the fast charging, the hard charging, the man that made almost the most positions, joint with Matty Raymond. Danny G, congratulations on P3, mate.
Yeah, cheers, thank you.
That looks like a very, very scary restart towards the end, where the sea parted in front of you.
Yeah, I was taking it pretty easy on the restarts, and yeah, it did pretty much part in front of me, didn't it? I just saw one of the green-black cars went up the track, and I knew it was going to come back down. I just sort of had to stay in line and just found the gap and went through it.
Was it a bit of a shut your eyes moment and just hope for the best, or did you think you were going to make it through?
Oh, no, actually, I had confidence I'd get through. Like, you sort of pick what's going to happen. If they sort of spin the wheels, they might go to the outside, and when they do that, my sort of reaction is they're going to come down, so you just sort of move to the outside, but then you've got cars on the outside. So I just sort of went with a gap that I thought was going to be there, and it continued to be there as I went through it.
Luckily, it paid off because that gap remained. Look, a very strong finish for you here as well. Very strong race for you as well. Obviously, not qualifying your choice tonight, or was it just you missed your chance?
Yeah, I was away from the computer, and by the time I got back, I had to pretty much rush the lap, and I hit the wall, and couldn't put a time in.
Well, it didn't work out too badly for you. I mean, starting from 22nd and finishing third, that is not much to complain about at all. Are we going to be seeing you in the Xfinity Series a bit more this season?
So long as the lockdowns continue in Canberra, then probably, yeah. If they lift, then I'll go back doing what I normally do on Wednesday nights.
Go back to the outside world. No,
yeah.
It's a pleasure to have you. Congratulations on that top 3 finish. And the usual thing of shout out and love to sponsors.
Yeah, for sure. You guys for putting on the broadcast. It's awesome work. Mitch Motorsports and Bob King for the paint design, which I think I'm running about 2 years behind or something, because I haven't run Xfinity for a while. Yeah, so it's an old paint job, but still good.
Well, it's good to see the orange back on there, because it confused me with the colour change the other week.
Oh, Daytona. Yeah, I thought that was cool.
It looks great. It looks great. Just confused me.
Yeah, fair enough.
Thanks so much, Danny. Good to see you. Congratulations on the P3, and hopefully we'll see you back in the booth very shortly.
Cheers.
Next up, we'll head to the second place finisher, Mr. Hamish Gallagher. Congratulations on that P2, mate. That looked like one heck of a battle all race long for you.
Yeah, thanks, Carl. Yeah, it was an okay race. Like, the setup was so tight, you sort of had to nurse the right front the entire time. So it was hard to be aggressive. But yeah, no, it was good clean race at the front there. I managed to keep the car without a scratch on it, which is an improvement from last week, Carly. Yeah, so yeah, it was a good race.
I don't know what happened last week. There was no broadcast, so nobody will ever know what happened, I'm afraid. Sorry about that. No, look, congratulations. Keeping the car clean here at Darlington is something that is not easy to do. And, well, you two at the front, you seem to have managed it.
Yeah, that was definitely a goal tonight, just to not hit the wall, because I usually do that every single time here, so I'm glad for once I didn't. But no, it was a good fun race of Ed. Like, he got a little bit lucky on that restart, so he got the guy stayed out. But I think he would have passed me anyway. He's always really good here, and he's really good usually on tight setups. So I knew once he got ahead of me, I think that was pretty much race over. I could just try and pressure him and hope for a mistake. But Edward's really good as like a defensive driver. He knows how to drive in a way that makes it hard to get runs. So he was past the field tonight and deserves the win.
And I've got to ask you, of course, are you looking to defend the championship this season?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll be racing the whole season. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
No, we look forward to seeing you out there more. Good luck with the rest of the season. Luckily, I'll be locked up in the booth, so I won't be able to take you out. So you should be safe for a while. Hamish Gallagher, before I let you go, the usual shout-out and love to sponsors.
Yeah, shout out to the boys. Dan coming from the back and Josh coming from 2 laps down to get a top 10 as well. So it's a good run for them. And just, you boys for the broadcast and Edward for the win.
You're always welcome, Hamish. Congratulations again on the P2. Next up, we will head to the race winner. He managed to tame the lady in black. Mr. Edward Foster, congratulations on that race win.
Thanks a lot.
I imagine you're pretty happy about that.
Yeah, it was a good fun race. I didn't really come in expecting really anything. I just really wanted to see how I went. It went okay. So, yeah, it was a great battle all race long with, we had a few of us up the front at the start, and then there were 3, and then there were 2, and it just sort of came down to me and Hamish there. And, it was, good, enjoyable race, very mental battle between the two of us. Probably something that doesn't really come across so much on the broadcast, but, he was trying little different things, different points of getting on the accelerator, different lines, and I was trying to be a little bit unpredictable as well, do a few different things every lap just to sort of throw him off his game. So, yeah, definitely a mind game out there, but certainly track position was a huge advantage.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, you must have been a little bit surprised after that, the caution where you all came in to see Brenton West out in front of you. You probably knew he probably only took 2 tyres. Did that sort of put you off a little bit, especially having to start behind him?
Not really. I completely agree with what Hamish said earlier on. I was feeling quite lucky when I saw that because I'm like, yeah, okay, this really gives me a good opportunity to try and get by Hamish, whereas I'd been behind him for quite a while. And to be perfectly honest, I was sort of thinking that perhaps he was going to be a little bit better than me on the long run, and I wasn't really going to be able to do anything about it. And then the caution came, West stayed out, and that gave me a chance that I don't think I would have had otherwise. So, I was quite happy to see it, actually.
Look, a commanding drive from yourself, and obviously, as he said, coming out here to fill the track out a little bit. Is that a little bit of a recce for tomorrow night?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is one of those tracks that you can't, well, I don't know about other guys, but I can't just jump in and be quick straight away. I've really got to run laps here to get my head around it. Normally, even when I'm practicing with the guys, I start out pretty slow and I sort of build up to it. So being able to run out here, even though it's a slightly different car in a race scenario with traffic and everything like that, was sort of invaluable preparation for tomorrow night as well. So, definitely want to come out. That was a main motivator behind my coming out tonight, but of course I always like to run at Darlington as well.
It's always good to see you come out, Ed. Congratulations on the victory, mate. A really, really well-driven race, and again, a clean car at the end here at Darlington. That's not a thing many people can say. Congratulations, and as usual, shout out and love to sponsors and people like that.
Yeah, certainly. So, shouts out to Hamish first of all. Good, clean fighting at the front, always is, and it's always fun fighting him and the other sort of front-running guys that we had up there for a little while. I didn't get to see as much of them as we would have liked. Unfortunately, it looks like Mickelmore had a bit of an issue, but he was coming on strong as well. So would have been interesting to see what he'd been able to do. Congrats to Danny on the P3 coming from all the way at the back. I didn't even realise he'd made it up that far. But yeah, of course, the sponsors, AJ Insurance Services, we've got all over the Camaro. So yeah, it looks really good. Good to get something there for them. And, of course, the usual guys, Ferguson Group Media, Race Magazine, Two Fat Blokes, and Bridgestone Select as well for sticking with us, staying behind us, and hopefully we can bring them something nice at the end of the year.
Congratulations. I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth soon. And again, another congratulations.
Thanks.
Stuart, the race here at Darlington, fantastic stuff from the Xfinity cars, and we get to do it all again tomorrow night for the throwback round of the Cup season, the inaugural round of the Chase as well. It's going to be a fun one. Yeah,
big taste for tomorrow night, and looking forward to getting into the Chase. As I said, the first one I get to experience with the ANZCAR drivers, so looking forward to getting back into that tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun experience for sure. As usual, we'd love to give a big shout out and thank you to everybody that has watched this and will watch this in the future. If you can give a little tap to that old subscribe button and the like button, it does help out the old algorithm a fair bit. And we hope you enjoyed the racing for tonight, because we sure had some special stuff out there.
Absolutely, and as always, from us at FGM eCast, your E-Place for Pace, appreciate you tuning in tonight. We'll be back here tomorrow night from 8 p.m. with the first round of the Chase, with 10 to go in the ANZCAR Cup season. So don't forget to join us from 8 p.m. and look forward to bringing you that one then. Until then, take care of yourself, and we will see you tomorrow.